YouTube up here anyway. It says it's because it's scheduled for 5. Whether or not that means anything.
There we go. Yeah, it should be working now. We should be up and live. It didn't like it because it was before 5 o'clock.
Cool.
We're live. Hello everyone. I'm conscious we don't have any viewers in the stream yet, but if you're watching on replay, you're very welcome. Tom here from. Sorry, mate.
I think we're like 5 minutes ahead of whenever we said anyway, aren't we?
Yeah. I was just saying that for the video though, because this will just record as a video for people to watch. But yeah, you're very welcome. I'm Tom and joined by my good mate Sam. How are you doing, mate? How are you getting on?
Yeah, good mate. Not too bad week last week on all formats really. So yeah, good. Yeah, hanging in there and still definitely kind of in a position to win at least some cash in both formats potentially. So I know we're on for a bit of Sky to start with. So yeah, I'm doing all right. I'm about 2,500 or something like that. Some good subs left. Didn't make any moves last week. So thought, I don't know about you, but like had a good week, and then realised like my rank had still dropped. But then looked at Dan Cox's stats and realised that shed load of people have made tons of moves. So it made me feel a bit better really, because I just sort of stuck to my guns, mate. What about yourself?
Yeah, I guess not too bad. Yeah, I'm like 10,000 and 8,000th, I think. But ultimately, I don't think there's too many points between us.
There isn't.
But still, not quite as good a position as you. One team, I haven't made any moves at all. And in the other, I did Bowen to Saka because, as everyone thought, Bowen wasn't going to play. I took him out, brought Saka in. And Bowen ended up playing in the end, and Saka got injured. But I don't think the Saka injury is too bad, so I won't be using another transfer to get rid of him.
No, I've got three flags at the moment. I've had I've used kind of 4, so I'm 36 left. And I was thinking about it the other day. I think there's a little Twitter thread going on, and I reckon such a high percentage of those have been through injured players. I think majority of my moves that I've made around non-injured players have been pretty good, but I've just been hit quite hard. And I mean, at the moment, I've got Ariza Balaga, Shah, and Haaland currently with flags. Obviously, 2 of them are orange and 1 of them's red. But yeah, it just seems to be my story of the season so far. But I guess that's maybe the risk, especially earlier on in the season, to pick in injury-prone players.
Yeah, exactly, mate. Obviously, the Haaland injury, because we don't know the extent of it. I think Pep's if he is injured, I think Pep's gonna hide it for as long as humanly possible.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be a difficult one to navigate.
I mean, the Haaland one doesn't really matter though, does it? Because everyone's on him, so it's like it's whether you stick now and just leave him to the overhaul, or if you make a move and go for somebody else to try and essentially make up some ground. But we haven't got many weeks, have we? Like you were just saying off air, it's super close now. So it's like, do you just hold out where you're at for the overhaul and then see where we are after the World Cup?
Yeah, exactly. I think you're probably right. It's Sky is different to like FPL and Fan Team in the sense that the transfers are even more valuable, aren't they? It's not a don't use it, lose it sort of policy. It's
100%.
You may as well save them. So. Yeah, interesting one. I think what we'll do for this video is I've got some FF stuff stats from last week to show, and then we can just have a chat about Gameweek 14, I think it's called in Sky. It's so confusing that the fact that Sky Game Weeks are slightly different than FPL ones. But yeah, I think we're on 14 in Sky, so we can have a look at the fixtures and then answer some questions. I don't really have much more prepared because it's literally only 2 weeks, and I think the key talking points we all know. We just need to discuss, I think.
Yeah, cool, man. Sounds good.
So first up, I've just got the Game Week 13 fixtures that have happened, and then on the right, I've got FF Stuff's Match Centre, just to have a look at how some of the players have gotten on for bonus, etc. So the first fixture, we got Man City and Leicester. Good news for Ederson owners, obviously with his clean sheet. He also made 5 saves in that game, so clean sheet and saves bonus. All four of the defenders came away with passing bonus. Um, yeah, which is really good. Cancelo on 70. I'm just going to take a picture of this slide so Sam can see it. Cancelo on 70. Laporte on 96. Good to see Laporte getting back into the team.
Yeah,
What I think
he's
we're
a
going to...
solid player, mate. Isn't he? He's a solid player. I think fit. He's number one starter really for City. Sorry, I crowbarred you, but I totally agree with what you were saying there. For
Yeah,
sure.
absolutely. It looks like Diaz was on Ruben Diaz was on the bench. It was interesting. So it looked like Pep favoured Akanji at centre back over Ruben Diaz, and then took him off after 72 minutes. So it was an interesting one. Be interesting post World Cup, like how that defence sort of takes shape. I
Yeah,
think.
definitely. I think it's really. I mean, there was a season or two seasons, wasn't there, where Diaz was just completely nailed his first choice. I just don't see that currently as it stands. I think it's anyone's guess between Stones, Laporte, Diaz, Akanji, and obviously Ake's in the mix there as well. I think really we know that when Walker's fit and Cancelo's fit, they're probably the two most nailed defenders. Probably Cancelo is again, hence his ownership is the most nailed. But there's some nice prices there, Tom. I mean, Akanji's a nice price, right?
Yeah, and yeah, he was favoured to start at centre back above Ruben Diaz, so it'd be interesting to see how long he stays in the team.
Yeah, for sure.
I think that sort of finishes it really. Obviously, De Bruyne. Did you see the free kick that he scored in that game? It was
Yeah.
absolutely amazing. I think he's definitely, for me, he's probably a captaincy shout if Haaland is out on Saturday, I would say.
He he's just not the full box of Sky fantasy tricks that he once was, is he? He's still equally a good player. Like this is where I'm separating fantasy football from real football. But was it a couple of seasons ago? He would have a full house in terms of bonuses, and you just don't get that with De Bruyne. I still think he's a good option. I just think like yeah, maybe if Haaland's out, it's a bit different. He might be a fullback, but yeah, he's not quite first name on everyone's team sheet like he once was.
Yeah, because I think it was the season that I first played Sky, and I didn't actually realise how like the bonus point system worked. But Kevin De Bruyne was the highest scoring player in the game that season, and that was because he got bonus alongside like 17, 18 assists. And yeah, like you say, the bonus is where the points are for midfielders in Sky, isn't it? Unless of course it's like a Haaland or a Son last season who got like 20 plus goals. Other than that, you're really looking for bonus, aren't you? I think.
There was a season, I can't remember if it was 2 or 3 seasons ago, where Man City played on like the Monday night first game of the season, and Kevin De Bruyne got like a 25-point captain haul or something. I mean, no, yeah, so a 50-point captain haul, 25-point haul, something along those lines. Someone can remember exactly what it was, but it was like hitting everything, and that was sort of prime Sky KDB back then.
Yeah. Just conscious you've got footy in a bit, so I'll move on to the next one.
Yeah, you go for it, Tom.
Bournemouth 2, Spurs 3. Obviously, Bentancur winning that game in the last minute for Spurs. Anything noteworthy? Really annoying that Dyer didn't play because Longley, who looked like he played in the middle of the back three, he got 92 passes. So I think we probably missed a potential passing bonus there for Dyer. He came on after 57 minutes and made 38 passes, which is pretty ridiculous. But yeah, unfortunately we didn't get a bonus out of Dyer. But and yeah, blanks for Kane and Son. And well, Son got shots bonus, but sadly a blank for Kane in that one. I didn't expect Kane to blank in that game, I must say. Yeah.
Who did you captain on that? On that day.
I had Kane in both teams, so I went Kane.
Was that the day Salah was playing as well?
Yeah, Salah had his who was Salah playing? Salah had his Leeds fixture. We can go on to that now. And yeah, I captained Kane instead. I just fancied the Kane against Bournemouth more than Salah.
Yeah, I went Mo Salah on that one, which ended up being the right decision. Obviously, the wrong decision for Liverpool. The wrong day for Liverpool, but the right move. Him or Cancelo were both good picks in the end, weren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's a shame. My gut was telling me to go for Cancelo, but I just felt Kane had a bit of upside to him, so I went for Kane. But yeah, had I gone Cancelo, well, I just got a straight up standard 10-pointer, so I'd have taken that, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I just think a lot of people do favour the attacking asset, don't they, for that explosive ability? But saying that, Cancelo has many routes to points as well. I just thought Leicester might score. I think that was what sort of put me off Cancelo captain. I thought City would win, but I thought Leicester might nick one. But obviously, it wasn't to be. It was sort of quite a low scoring affair in the end, wasn't it?
Next up, we had Brentford and Wolves in a 1-1 draw. Not you can see all the bonus points there on the screen. Don't think there's anything particularly to mention about that game other than Ivan Toney's last-minute yellow card, which is reminiscent of Maddison's a few weeks ago, which absolutely killed me in other fantasy games.
Yeah, yeah, it's frustrating, isn't it? I saw him on a group chat like Tony with loads of Ys. I thought, oh, he scored a last minute goal, but it was just a Tony yellow card to cap off, a blank, and then minus a point basically.
A couple more of these games, and I'll have a look at the chat because I see we got a message. Brighton 4, Chelsea 1. Absolutely ridiculous result. I didn't expect. Yeah. I didn't expect that myself. Somehow, because I didn't want to use any transfers, I've still got Trossard in my A team. So I captained him twice in his games against, I can't remember who he played for the two captaincies now. One of them was Forest.
Forest and Villa or something. No, not Villa. It might well have been.
Anyway, two games where you'd almost expect him to score. And then since those two games that he blanked in, he's played Chelsea and Man City and scored in both of those games.
I'm exactly the same as you, Tom. I've still got him, and I'd written down. I know I said earlier about kind of like decent moves so far this year. I was like, well, that's my first real flop move. That was a non injury based one, and I can almost basically cross that out now and do that at least as it's worked out was an all right move because I think it's been 2 11-pointers on the bounce, hasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Goals and shots bonus in both games. Yeah, I can't complain. And I must say, he's looked really good in all of them. I think it's down to like the position that the manager's playing him in. I'm pretty sure in the two games that we had him for captaincy, maybe one of the games he was playing near the front, but I think he started at wing back, didn't he, in one of those games?
It's just really unfortunate, isn't it? Forest was that plum fixture, and it was a complete and utter blank in the end. And Dean Henderson would have been your better captaincy that day. And actually, Dean Henderson went on a couple of runs there with a Liverpool clean sheet, and also that clean sheet versus Brighton. So for people that had held out to captain Henderson and stuck with him in their team, would have actually probably come away a little bit happier with both of those.
And yeah, McAllister, who's probably in most people's teams now, stuck on 3 tackles, as were 4 other Brighton players. So Estupinan, Dunk, Gross, and Mitoma. That might be a name of someone else. I don't recognise him, Mitoma. But anyway, he was on 3 tackles as well.
Yeah, so owner's a little bit unlucky there not to see that 4th one pop in.
And then on to Crystal Palace, Southampton. I don't think there's really anything to talk about in that game, to be honest. I'm not sure. Only Zaha really is going to be any sort of ownership in this fixture, I would suggest. And unfortunately, just came away with a yellow card. I don't have him in Sky, but I do in FPL. I have never ever got any points from Zaha in my entire time. I don't think every time I bought him, he's let me down.
Yeah, I'm very similar story of Zaha, mate. He's my troll. He's one of my FPL kind of fantasy trolls. When I don't own him, he's glorious, and when I do, he doesn't bang. And it's been a plum fixture run as well for him, isn't it?
Yep. Absolutely. And then speaking of trolls, it was widely shared on Twitter, but I did an FPL deadline stream last weekend.
Oh, yeah.
Waited for the Man City team news, and then I thought I'll do Solanke to Wilson will be my transfer. And I pressed confirm on the transfer and the game froze. And then Callum Wilson went on to score 2 goals and he got 1 assist in Sky, but he got 2 assists in FPL. So absolute nightmare on Wilson. But I definitely think Newcastle are looking pretty special. Although they don't get passing bonus, I think it'd be difficult to ignore them in Sky post the World Cup. What do you think?
Yeah, I absolutely love Callum Wilson. Really like him as a footballer as well as a fantasy asset. We started the season with him, didn't we? Both of us. I think a lot of people did. He's exceptional value for, I want to say 7.9, but something like that. But of course, like we had to do, Tom, you kind of got to whip him out at some point with an injury. That's what we had to do. But he has just been. He's got like a 1 in 2 record, doesn't he, when he plays? So goal every other game as an average. I mean, that's pretty awesome, especially for a team like Newcastle or any of the teams that he's played with, really. As I said, if he keep himself fit, he's a real gem in there.
I think he's.
Yeah,
I think he's England's second best striker when he's fit. I'll say that. I think he is.
Yeah, I think he's got making a real case to go to the World Cup, but obviously I don't think he will. But I think he fully deserves to be on that plane.
Sorry, you were going to say something, then I interrupted you.
Yeah, like just talking about the rest of the assets. I mean, I've got Botman at 7 mil. Kind of, I brought him in for kind of fill a gap from an injured. That was it for Fana, and he's been all right. Like you said, they don't pick up passing bonus regularly. I think, no, sorry, I've got Shah, not Botman. Sorry. If I said Botman, I've got Shah, 7 mil. Yeah, and he's done okay. They're not very consistent on the passing bonuses, like you said. That's the only disappointment there. But I think Bruno, Ramirez, Callum Wilson, I mean Almiron as well at the moment is doing well, and Nick Pope, Kieran Trippier are all good Sky assets.
Yeah, I mean statistically they're the best defence in the league at the moment, which is is telling in itself. I'd like to say I think Pope's a really good price. Bruno Gomes got passing bonus against Villa as well, and I think as soon as Shelvey comes back into the team, I believe he's back in training now, or light training, and I think, he actually played 7 minutes of football by the looks of it. He came on for Gomes at the end of the game, so yeah, I think post the World Cup, Bruno G becomes an option again, definitely.
I know the only thing that puts me off, and it's going to be strange saying it considering I've got Shah on my team, but is the inconsistency in passing in bonus for their back line. I think if they were bonus magnets and also had that defensive record, the double up there would be, like a Pope and Trippier or a Pope and Shah or whoever, would be really, really tempting. They just don't quite have that kind of baseline of 4 or 5 points, do they, the Newcastle defenders? So that puts me off a little bit. But I think kind of Pope, Bruno and Callum Wilson are all extremely good options for looking post World Cup and overhaul.
Absolutely, mate. Just looking at the chat. By the way, if you're viewing this and want to say hello, stick a hello in the chat and ask us any questions that you want. Kian McKenna asks us, would you take out Haaland for Kevin De Bruyne and captain him if we see that Haaland is benched / not in the squad on Saturday, even if there is a high probability Haaland will play against Brentford? You got any thoughts on that?
It should always depend. Just a depends answer, isn't it? Depends on your transfers remaining, what the rest of your state of your team is like, whether you have another decent captaincy option. I'm just looking at the fixtures now, and yeah, you kind of want it to be. For me, me personally, Tom, and going back to this point earlier, I'd probably stick that in Cancelo if I had Cancelo. So if he has Cancelo, it's just like, yeah, it's kind of like Cancelo could easily come away with a 20-pointer there, couldn't he?
That's exactly what I was going to say.
To get a 20-pointer, we need a goal. What's that? 6, 12, 14. A goal and something else of a 3 or a 4-pointer to sort of hit in and around that region. He definitely can do it, but Cancelo's a bit of a banker, isn't he? So I think if you had like absolute excess moves and your team's in pretty good shape and you wanted to have a bit of a punt, yeah, I like it. But I'd still probably put the captaincy on Cancelo. I think that's what I would do.
Yeah, I'd be boring. Even if I had loads of transfers, I'd still think I'd save them. I just don't think it's worth it at this stage making transfers like that, because My thoughts are Pep's not going to give anything away about Haaland. If he's not fit, he won't say anything, and if he is fit, he also won't say anything, because it changes the game completely for the opposition, doesn't it? So the less that Pep can give away, the better for him.
He'll see lineups though, so because his first kickoff's 3
Oh,
o'clock.
of course, yeah.
So at least you'll know, so have I guess in your head, at least just decide beforehand what you're going to do if he does or if he doesn't start. If I saw Cancelo was rested as well and I had no other Man City asset, then it would probably be a different story.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. Hopefully that answers your question, Kian, mate. Just going on to a few more fixtures. I'll rattle through them because I'm just conscious of time. Fulham, Everton, 0-0. Nothing really much to talk about there, other than I think a Mitrovic yellow means he's on 4 in total now, which is just one to keep an eye on. But again, because we're so at such a late stage towards the World Cup, I don't really think it matters. It's just annoying, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just annoying. Yeah.
About
him and
go on.
I think Tony misses a game. Sorry to go back. Is he out now, Tony? For one?
Yep, he is indeed.
Yeah. So that may be food for thought for people that are Tony owners.
And then Liverpool Leeds. Obviously you're a Liverpool fan, mate, so I won't rub it in too much. But got some passing bonus across the Liverpool defence and a few shots across the front line, and obviously a Salah goal. People might well have captained Salah, given that Haaland wasn't playing. You got any comments on that game, mate? As a Liverpool fan, what do you think that means for Liverpool players going forward?
Yeah. We're definitely inconsistent. There's no two ways about that. And we were poor again, or Liverpool were poor that day. Joe Gomez's back pass in the first couple of minutes sets the scene really, and we never really got going and didn't really deserve much from the game. But we're much better against Napoli, so it is kind of bit Jekyll and Hyde at the moment. Konate coming back makes a big difference. He was really good and aggressive in that defensive line with Van Dijk on whatever night it was, Tuesday night. Gomez, unfortunately, hasn't hit pre-injury levels, and I think that's quite noticeable. Certainly consistently for Liverpool. So Konate coming back in, stays fit, I think will make a difference. I do like Salah is just looking more dangerous, though. There is no way you can't argue with that. He scored again on Tuesday night.
He's the top scorer now in the Champions League, isn't he, I think?
Yeah, he's been banging him in, man. Against, like I said, us playing poorly. It's not the Salah that we all know and love, but there is signs there, I think, from watching that there may be better to come. I think anyone that's gone without Salah so far and has picked the correct kind of asset there is definitely up on everyone else for sure.
He's definitely not turned into a bad player or anything like that, has he?
No,
He's still
no,
well amongst it.
Mate, his effort and his intent every game is second to none. It's nothing to do with being lazy or not asked or whatever. He's a change in system and personnel and lots of injuries. I think Liverpool are going to go on this mega kind of run from last year or the year before? No, but do I think they'll get better post World Cup? Definitely. So they're always a good option. And if clean sheets start rocking around again, then obviously your Alissons, your Van Dijks are kind of good, are good options. Steer clear of Trent and Robbo personally. Midfield, Thiago's just too much of an injury risk for he's great for bonus, and when he plays, he could pick up all of them, but he's just very injury prone. So I think Darwin Núñez, Tom's one to keep an eye on. He's the good, the bad, and the ugly all in the game. But I said it a couple of weeks ago. There's a haul coming from him at some point because he's XG's through the roof.
Oh mate, it's insane. Is some of his underlying stats, mate.
Great to watch as well, and I feel from just does some such funky stuff. He's so fast and powerful. I think it will start to click for him a little bit. And
absolutely,
yeah. And that's why I still think Salah remains a good option as well. So it's not all doom and gloom. We do need some we do need some signings, and we need some players back from injury. But the World Cup's obviously coming back round. So yeah, that's my sort of analysis on Liverpool at the moment.
Thank you for that. Couple more games left. We got the Arsenal 5, Forest 0. Obviously, Jesus, couple assists, Saka with an assist and went off injured. But I do think by the looks of it that he'll play again at the weekend because he's back in training. Looks like he's back in full training. Partey made 104 passes in that game. Just one to monitor. So he had 104 passes and a goal. I did expect Forest to do a bit better in that, though. They look reasonably solid. So I'm quite surprised that they conceded 5. Yeah.
Yeah, Reece Nelson had 2, didn't he, as well? Good, yeah, Arsenal back. I think that was quite important for them to get a good win because they lost in the midweek, didn't they, in Europe, and it was important to get that sort of bounce back result and show that they are a solid. Well, we know they're a solid outfit, but you know what I mean. A little setback they can push forward on. I captained Saliba actually. He got like hooked in these six passes away from like first bonus, like 76 minutes or something. So, yeah, bit gutted if I'm honest with you, because I thought I was an absolute nailed on 10-pointer, but it is what it is. Still got the seven for the cleano.
Yeah, and well, I think at his value, you'll take that kind of points.
There's so many good options in that Arsenal team, like post overhaul, like Saliba, Ramsdale, Martinelli, Saka. Like you said, Thomas Partey. Keep an eye on that for bonus. Obviously, Jesus, Odegaard ticks over quite nicely as well, doesn't he? Maybe not as prolific on the point front as the rest of them, but I think there's some really, really good options in that Arsenal team.
And then the final fixture was a 1-0 for Man United over West Ham. Rice there for West Ham looking close to bonus, but he didn't quite get it. Martinez he seems to be a bit of a bonus magnet for United. He's capable of getting passing in tackles. And I must say, even though West Ham hammered them towards the end of the game, I think Man United did really well to hold on. I think they found a bit of defensive solidity, even when they had Maguire in the team. Yeah, I just think Man United look pretty decent.
Dalot, is it one to monitor for the back line then, Tom? Like, you're a United fan. Like, what's the thinking there? Do we just keep an eye on that, or is that like something we could pick post overhaul?
I think so. I definitely think I wouldn't shy away from buying a Man United player for a captaincy now. Exactly who the best player is, I'm not too sure. But Martinez, yeah, consistently getting tackles and passing and the odd clean sheet here and there. I think he's a good option for the price. And Rashford as well. I said it about FPL, and it's the same in Sky. Like, he's the value that he is, and he's playing up front for Man United. I don't think people should think twice. And he looks to be enjoying his football again. I think from my perspective, obviously he's done some fantastic things for like the humanity of Great Britain, if you want. But football-wise, I think he just dropped off the last couple of seasons, and his head wasn't into it too much. But I think he's just found his focus again, and he's just trying really hard in games. He's looking really good.
Yeah, nice analysis, mate. Yeah, and you're absolutely right. It's a steal of a price, and he's a midfielder, isn't he? So he doesn't even take away doesn't take away on your striker spots, where there is an abundance of players. And yeah, he's ticking over with points quite nicely, I think. So yeah. I think who have you got in and around that 8 million mark? Martinelli, Trossard, Rashford. There's some quite good options on that price.
Bruno G. Yeah. There's definitely a number. Well, Ruben Neves. I think if you were looking at him as well, he seems to get bonus odd times. So yeah, lots of players around that price. I've got the Game Week 14 fixtures up here, but before I do, we've had a question from Stephen Murray Bruce. It says, "Evening, gents. With 35 transfers left and a 5k rank, is it worth swapping Bowen for..." He doesn't say for who. So Bowen and Polinia. I've got it. Bowen and Polinia for Rashford and Trossard. Would you do that move? Bowen and Polinia for Rashford and Trossard?
Is he going to captain them, or like that's the is there going to be those explosive kind of results off the back of it? We know Polinia is pretty much a tick over man, isn't he?
Yeah. I'd ask the same question really. If you're planning to looking at these fixtures, I think it's the last fixture on the last week, isn't it? That Man United are a potential captaincy option because they've got Fulham.
Who did he say to bring in? So it's. Did he say Bowen and Polinia out, did he?
Bowen and Polinia out, Rashford and Trossard in.
My bad. I said about Polinia being a tick over. Yeah. Don't change the thought process, really. It's about, the captaincies, isn't it? and whether you can get that enough kind of what do we say now, Tom, for like a sort of a good return on a transfer, like point wise with
15, 10 to
50.
15.
Yeah. So that's the yeah, if you think you're gonna get that that's what I would say. If you think you're gonna get that, then yeah, go for it.
I think my rather than getting rid of Polinia, I think I just leave Polinia in. I think
Yeah.
Bowen could be a sell, not because I think his fixtures are bad or anything like that, but just because Rashford has a potential captaincy, and so does Trossard. Game weeks 15 next week. So if you don't fancy Bowen and need a captain, then you could go to either Trossard or Rashford. And if you look at the stats between Trossard and Rashford, there's very little to split them. I made an FPL video about that the other day.
Yeah, I saw that.
Went in depth about their stats, and there's nothing to choose between them. So completely up to you on which one of them you choose. But I would probably I'd consider getting rid of Bowen if I didn't have a captain for Sunday the 13th. But again, you could well just hold Bowen right up until that Sunday and then just play it by ear based on the lineups. That's probably what I do, to be honest.
Yeah. The thing is with that one is Polinia could against United on that Sunday could come away with a 4 or 5 pointer and Rashford blanks, and it's just like again, this is all hypothetically, it's like I just don't think there'll be too much in it, Tom. Mind you, saying that Villa are very hot and cold, aren't they, at the moment? So I mean that's a really difficult choice, but I think you've rationed out it quite well. I don't think he hasn't been pulling down any trees, has he?
No, but again, he's got Palace and Leicester. I think he could score in both those games. I really do. Like even against United, he had a good chance. He seems to be getting in the same positions as last season, so I wouldn't be too put off by him. I think
What
I
are you
would.
going to do? Oh, sorry, mate. Yeah, go. Sorry, you go for it.
I don't know it's only next week, but I've always been punished when I've made a transfer early to cover a captaincy.
Yeah.
So I just wait until Sunday next week, I think.
For me, on that day, I would just that United Fulham day. I'd probably just stick the armband on Pali. I mean, I've got Trossard, but I was still not convinced to stick it on Trossard because he's just so hot and cold. Like, don't mind him ticking over an 11 pointer on like a multiple game day, but it's just you just know there's a 2 pointer incoming or something like that. But I don't think there's any massive standout options that day, and that would maybe what would put me off, like making any moves to specifically cover that day. But it's an individual thing, right, Tom? And if you've got moves and it suits your plans, then Rashford could be a brilliant, and Trossard could be brilliant people to bring in.
I think previously we've spoken about captaincy on Saturday the 5th, so we can move on from that, I think.
Yeah.
Just conscious of time. And then Sunday, we've got quite a lot of options on Sunday. There's quite a lot of good, attractive fixtures there. Looking at those fixtures on Sunday, if you've got them in front of you, mate, what are you
I have, yeah.
what are you eyeing up? Who are you liking the look of?
Well, I had a look at this a few days ago, and I was kind of struggling a little bit, really, because like Chelsea, Arsenal, I've got Saliba, I've got Martinelli in like one of my teams, and I've got Jesus in the main side. But I sort of don't see any massive hauls there. I don't know about you.
Nope.
And then there's a load of mediocre fixtures in the middle there. The West Ham, Palace, Southampton, Newcastle. I mean, Callum Wilson's a good option right there, isn't he?
I'm thinking of.
I think me and you we talked about this already, didn't we?
I think he's a captain in all formats this week.
I
I
think
really do.
He might be the best option there. But then I kind of Harry Kane against Liverpool at home, Liverpool's defence. Kind of I was thinking about that. Bottom line, Tom, there's no clear standout on that day. So that's your opportunity then to go off and choose a different or differential, but someone that you believe is going to be the best captain that day. Well, I think that's a really tricky day. I think if I had Callum Wilson in Sky, I would like to go with him.
Maybe Stephen, that's a potential move to consider if you can, if you've got the transfers and want to spend them. Maybe that's a move for you to consider.
He mentioned, is this the chap that mentioned the Rashford move?
Yeah.
So he'd have an option then to potentially captain Rashford versus Villa on the Sunday the 6th, and then Rashford versus Fulham on the Sunday after. So you get two captaincies out of him. So that's another option there, potentially. Like we're not telling anyone what to do, but potentially highlighting, aren't we, Tom, the ideas that are there for people.
I'm just going to have a look if we've got any Twitter questions, but I think that covers us nicely for the fixtures. Anything else? Final question from Michael Harland on Twitter. He's thinking of going with, so he says post World Cup, he's thinking of going with 5 or 6 big hitters and fillers from other teams who regularly hit bonus, rather than the likes of Bowen, Zaha, etc., as it feels the easiest way to make points in Sky. Rather than a question, I think I just agree with what Michael said about regular bonus hitters. I think that's always the way for me to go in Sky.
Yeah, definitely.
Final question from FPL Boo Boo. He says, "Hi mates, in for Eze and Mitro. If you join our next stream, I'll help you with that, because we're about to stream for Fan Team next, mate. Because you haven't told us who you want to bring in on that question, so we'll have to leave it there, I think." Bryony's just joined the chat as well. Unfortunately, Bryony, we're just about to finish the stream. We've gone through everything, so
watch it back though, can't he?
Feel free to watch it back, mate. But yeah, you're very welcome. And hopefully now I've worked out how to live stream, we can do this every week, so we can have a bit of chat with our viewers as well. I think that'd be nice.
Yeah, obviously most people are used to us putting it up, but I think if we, like you said, put out beforehand that we're going to go online, gives people an opportunity, doesn't it? And we were like 5 to 5 or something today, which is a bit of a random time. Most people are still kind of working, aren't they? So I'm happy to do that as well, Tom, for sure.
All right, nice one, everyone. We'll catch you next week with some more Sky content. See you later.
Cheers, guys.